It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Okay.
Good.
Hi. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy? Okay.
Okay. Well, I do have a few things tonight.
Oh, shit.
Woo! Bring it.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
One of them's really good news. I try not to get too personal, but on this one I have to brag, and I was extremely, extremely happy about this. I know you guys know, but, nobody else knows that my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer right before Christmas time. And through all of this, it's never, it seemed like when it hit her, And in February, the doctor had told her, he was like, look, her birthday was the 22nd. And he was like, you have a very, very slim chance of seeing your birthday. And, that kind of shakes you to your core, because you never expect your life to have an expiration date on it, And it not saying we weren't in overdrive already, but, the things kind of kicked up, and it shit got serious, So I'm happy to say that Saturday we celebrated her birthday, and she's doing, we're not out of the woods, but she's doing so much better. They found the right people and stuff, but my birthday was yesterday, and it's like I told her, I feel like that her being here to wish me a happy birthday was probably the best present I got. So I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to next year and the year after and the year after. So go Michelle. But I had to brag on her. She's been fighting so hard. So it was not only, she's going to kill me because I'm going to say this. Not only was it her 50th birthday, which was, a big milestone in your life, it was also a big milestone of when they didn't think she'd see. So, woohoo!
Awesome.
We'll take them. Yeah.
Keep kicking ass.
Yes. And
Good
also,
attitude.
Yes. Yeah. And so we've ran into some walls. She was getting blood transfusions, and I didn't know this, but after you've had 20 blood transfusions, it's hard to match you at that point, because everybody has like different antibodies and stuff. And even though it's your blood type, you're still getting all these, different people's antibodies and, mixed DNA and that kind of, I don't know about DNA, but, it's all different kind of gunk in the same tube. But, she's had 12 so far. And the doctor was like, we've got to figure this out, because, that's not good. But Thursday she went, right before we celebrated and everything else. The new specialist they sent her to see is actually also a hematologist. And so now she's got the best hematologist taking care of her and the best cancer doctor taking care of her. And they have agreed to work together. So, bigger light at that tunnel,
Sweet.
Yeah, so it's just good news all the way around. So I thought I'd share that because it's amazing. But onto a lighter note, I just finished, well, I'm still finishing season 5 of Yellowstone. And I've mentioned on here before how incredibly hard they make it to watch this show. Half of it was on Peacock, and now that, part 2 of season 5, I don't know why they're calling it part 2. They took a season break. I mean, Jesus. But part 2 is over on Paramount, while the other part 1 is on Peacock. But if you look it up, if you can't find it and you look it up, they tell you it's on both. So annoying. So freaking annoying. But anyways, it's gotten really good. Of course, there was a lot of rumor mills about Kevin Costner leaving Yellowstone. And he's pretty much confirmed that, yes, this is it. I'm done with this. And Taylor Sheridan has just released an article not too long ago where he kind of talks behind the scenes, because he's like the writer, the director, and actor, the casting. He's a one-man show for a lot of what he does. And they asked him, what about Kevin Costner? Because a lot of ugly things have been said. And he was like, well, problems started in season 2. Season 2, they kind of took a different shift in the show. I'm wanting to say it was right before 1883 was released. So at this point, Yellowstone was still trying to find its footing, because the first season didn't hit very well. And so the second season was really where it started to gain some steam. But it also kind of shifted the dynamic of John Dutton, which is the main guy in this, which is Kevin Costner. And Kevin Costner really didn't like that at all, voiced his opinion. And of course, Taylor Sheridan has this story from beginning to end in his head. He knows what happens and where it's ending. So he was kind of like, trust the process. We're getting to that, but we've got to do this so we can do this. So, we're getting to that, which of course, eventually they did kind of go back to him being, the John that we saw in the first season, but it was a little too late. And this season has kind of been a real fight to keep Kevin Costner on the set. Reading what Kevin Costner really hasn't said a whole lot about this. His lawyers have. This was never supposed to be a season thing. He really thought this was going to be kind of like an 1883, that they would tell a story and then it would go on to a different story. So, maybe a season or two, but he really didn't expect it to go that long. And when it did, it created some cracks in his marriage, which, hey, as a wife, I completely understand not being happy that my husband's gone all the time when you told me it wasn't going to be this long, And it was kind of a passion project for him, because Kevin Costner doesn't do TV. He's a big name in movies. You don't do TV after you've done. You can, but it's usually the end of their career, or, the sign that they're dwindling their career down when they hit TV. So I could see where he took this on as a passion, but now something else is entered in. Thomas was kind of telling us that about beforehand. He does have a different project that he wants to do. He does want to be free to do that. And, hey, like I said, totally understand that. I'm cursed with being able to see both sides. Taylor Sheridan's got a story that he's wanting to tell too, and now for part 2 of this, he can't even get Kevin Costner on the set. So he's like, okay, I'm going to wrap this up. Season 5 will be the last season of Yellowstone. They've got a lot of the story to finish up, and I'm almost through with part 1 of season 5, so they don't have a whole lot of episodes to finish this in. So I hope it's finished making. Fingers crossed. I really hope so. As far as Kevin Costner goes, I think he has been a wonderful actor in this, and he have not played this part so well. And Luke Grimes too, with his Casey part. Had these guys not played so well, I wouldn't have gotten. I mean, it's a Western. I would have watched it for a little while, but not as interested in as I am now. So it's been really well done. I do hope the story finishes, but it's not looking hopeful. But they do have plans after Yellowstone. They will do another present day, like Yellowstone set in, because everything else, 1883, the Harrison Ford one, all of those have been set, in the past. So they are bringing in Matthew McConaughey. And at first, when I first read this, I was thinking, what, are they going to have him take John Dutton's place? If Kevin Costner, it's not uncommon to have actors replaced in TV. Bewitched, they do it, and the show goes on. So I didn't know if they were bringing him in for that, but it sounds like Yellowstone will end with season 5. And this new thing with Matthew McConaughey will also be present day. So it has me curious if this is in another place and not Montana, like Yellowstone is set in, or if he's the guy, he's the guy that's going to buy John's ranch, or if this is going to be like Colorado, But it will be another present day. I've seen a lot of trash about Matthew McConaughey. He's a local boy. I always cheer loudest for our local Texans, But not only that, I've seen a lot of range from him, He can play the serious part. We saw that in that movie where he had AIDS. What was that? The Dallas... I can't remember.
Dallas Buyers Club?
I think that's what... Yes. Then, we've also seen him play the stoner parts and stuff. So I believe he has, I believe he has range. I think he could handle a dramatic part, especially for TV. I think, I'm curious, I'll definitely tune in. 3 episodes, just like comics. I'll give it 3. We'll see. But yeah, like I said, it's sad when inside drama can tear up something good, Because everybody else on the show just absolutely wonderful actors. I was kind of curious to see them grow and do more, Especially Luke Grimes. Oh man. And I don't say that just because he's pretty to look at. I say that because...
Nobody thought that until you brought it up, Liz. Come on now.
I mean, he is. But from where they first introduced us to him in season 1 to the man that he is right now, night and day. So that's been an interesting ride with him, So, like I said, I'm sad to see it end because there was so much more they could do with this story, but I understand,
Yeah, unfortunately, not every series can last as long as Supernatural. So
right, that's true.
You kind of have to tell you're really better off telling your story, getting it done, and moving on to a new story and coming up with something else. And honestly, most of those creative folks that's their happy place anyway. Is they want to. It's almost always about kind of in a way it's kind of about the next thing.
Right.
They're working on this and they've got another story that's already starting to form in their heads. And I mean, just ask Costner.
And Taylor Sheridan, he has, golly, so many projects that he's working on right now. But I know that he's had things before Yellowstone. He was an actor before Yellowstone and everything else. But I don't think he really became the name he did until this show took off the way that it did. And by this taking off, he's been able to do, the 1883, and he's about to do the 666 Ranch story. And he's got like a CSI kind of story coming out. So he's definitely going to keep busy. You know? It's just sad that his passion project is coming to an end. So we'll see. Like I said, cross your fingers. I hope I get part 2 of season 5. I hate cliffhangers.
That's just because you're afraid of heights.
Yeah, that too.
You're not talking about the movie, I hope.
Cliffhanger?
Yeah.
One of Stallone's finest.
Oh, gosh.
I was thinking that was Bruce Willis for some reason.
That was Stallone and somebody else. I'm blanking on who it was. I did not actually watch that movie when it came out, however many decades ago that was.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. I can watch slasher films and all kinds of stuff, but when you tap into phobias like that movie does, no. Now you're just fucking with my head, and we ain't playing that.
Some people they dig that, and yeah, I'm not one of them either.
I don't
to
like
them, but they can sell 1 million tickets to something like that. Great, good on them. They're not selling one to me.
Yeah.
But if they can, there's a lot of other people out there who have other different tastes. You know, good on them.
They have one out. It was weird because it was released to the movies, but not in very many theaters at all. But it was called, I think it's called Fall. But it's like these 2 girls are trapped on top of like a radio tower and they can't get down. And just from the trailer, some of the shots that they were showing from on top of this this radio tower was like giving me vertigo.
You're like,
So
nope.
it was like, yeah,
Yeah,
2 hours of that.
Yeah, we've actually we've talked about that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Big tapper.
Because you talked about a sequel, right?
Yeah.
They're doing
How
another.
would you sequel that? And would you feel sorry for someone after being trapped on a radio tower that they find themselves in that situation again?
Yeah.
Well, just because it's a sequel doesn't mean it's going to be the same characters.
Let's hope
Yeah,
not, anyway.
true. We hope not, yeah.
Mike Cliffhanger was 93, and also included John Lithgow, Janine Turner, and Michael Rooker.
Oh, wow, cool.
Merle.
Maybe it was Merle is where you go with.
So there you go.
I mean, I think I'm all rats, so I can't criticize.
Yeah, there you go.
But he was so good in that
Want a
movie.
chocolate pretzel?
Oh, he was so disgusting in that movie. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think watching him in Walking Dead made me do my deep dive.
So
when you get
you've seen
into a
Henry,
show. No, I mean, as far as you find out who that actor was and...
But not actually watched a lot of their...
Right,
well, and that's fine. He's done a bunch of
a lot
stuff.
of his stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
So.
he's got a lot of credits. Yep.
Yep.
And I have seen him in a few things since, but...
Sure. He was in at least the first Guardians movie.
Oh, yeah. I forget that he did Hondo. I think it was Hondo. The blue guy.
The blue guy.
That Leanne
was
calls
the
the
Blue Man
clown
Group.
from Star Wars.
I thought that was Drax.
Whoever the blue one is. Maybe it was Drax.
It's Yondu.
Is it Yondu?
With the arrow.
Yeah.
With him
bad.
whistling the
I
arrow
love
and all
the
that.
clown from Star Wars. And we keep trying to tell her it's not Star Wars. So they watched the first Guardians of the Galaxy the other day, and she's still calling him the clown from Star Wars, but she can tell you all about Groot.
Oh, good.
Yeah, out of all of the stuff in that movie, that's what she centered on. Even to the "We Are Groot" at the end, it was like, oh my god, she caught it.
They did their job then.
Yep.
Okay, Mikey.
Alrighty. I am a little more boring this week. But that's okay. Liz picked up the slack. It's all good. Um,
I did my homework this time.
I technically did two things. One of which we can't talk about because it's for next episode. It took me a while to watch our subject for next episode. That's time. That was time consuming. We will talk about that next time. The other thing I did was, for the first time in almost a year, I actually got to play D&D this past weekend. So yay.
Aw.
Cool.
Real life had been biting several of us in the ass for a while, and finally we managed to get together.
Cool.
For the first time since like last summer. Grumble, grumble. But anyway.
Rubble.
We had a good time. It's fun.
Very cool.
It's a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Requires a lot of work, but it's a fun game.
Yeah.
You
I
were due.
keep trying to get people to join our Discord server so we could get a game going, but yeah.
Yeah, people should join our Discord server. What a great segue.
Yes.
There you go.
Isn't it? Yes.
A little
join
early,
us.
but it's a great segue.
I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I mean, there's not much to tell as far as that goes. I could explain what we did, but there's absolutely no context for it, so it doesn't make any sense to do so. I'd have to go back to the very beginning, and that would take forever.
Yeah.
We had a good time. That's really all that
That's
matters.
cool.
Yeah, join
Did
our
I
Discord.
share that one story with you? How the guy was saying he ruined a whole D&D game by giving them a bucket? He was like, man, ruined the whole, had him plotted out to, they were going to have to go here and do this, but the girl got sick on a boat ride, so she rolled into, he gave her a bucket so she could get sick. Well, he didn't play the bucket in because he didn't plan on her getting sick. It was like the whole game down the shitter, man. Over a bucket.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing what kind of little thing like that it can have a big impact. It's the whole butterfly effect, except in some weird microcosm thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned that in the Discord, and my reaction was, yeah, I did that once by kicking over a chair. The deal was the group, the party, we were trying to find someone. We were looking for this person. I forget. They were the bad guy, and so we were hunting them down, and we tracked them into this, what was essentially a castle. And we just storm into the thing, and we fight our way in, and we start looking around, and we're like, oh God, we're going to have to find this guy. And in just a small moment of anarchy, I said, screw it, I'm going to kick over the throne. And the DM, my friend Bill, looked at me and said, you bastard. You
I
an utter
I can hear him
bastard.
say that too.
Oh yeah.
I can definitely hear him say.
He
said that to me.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, he does it a lot. But yeah, so the deal was we were supposed to. This was right at the beginning of the session. We had like 6-8 hours planned to sit there and hash through all of this stuff. And his plan was we were going to have to search the whole castle to find this guy. And the deal was that the secret door to where he was hiding was under the throne. And I swear I had no way of knowing this beforehand. I was just being a dick and kicking over the chair.
Well,
Cut
mission
5
accomplished.
hours out of the game.
And shortcutted
Mission
the entire
accomplished.
session. Right. We just went and did the last fight and we won and it was over. And he was like, okay, jackass, now what are we going to do? I was like, I don't know, let's go get a burger or
Monopoly,
something.
anyone?
Right. I got a deck of
Order
cards
pizza.
here. We'll figure out something. We hung out the rest of the day. It was fun, but
Where's lava?
I'd buy that for $1.
Wow.
At some point, she's going to figure out that she doesn't have to laugh every time he says that.
Right.
But it's not this week.
No, obviously.
If I could control it.
I know. Eventually, maybe. We'll see. Be fun finding out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. And then some.
Cool.
That is nice.
Okay, Les.
Not a whole lot. Just want to say I did watch The Thin Man, or the Shadow of the Thin Man, which is, I believe, the third in the series today. And still think that is some of the best stuff that has come down the pike in some time. Well, and it's not anywhere near our time frame, but very witty, to me, well acted. So I was enthralled the whole time, and it kept crossing my mind as to who could we get to play these parts now if they brought it back. And to me, that would be just a tougher than hell choice to figure out actors for the major parts.
The chemistry between Powell and Myrna Loy is just incredible.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they play it off.
That's what makes the films. I mean, some of the latter films are not. I don't find them as good as the first couple, but still, to just spend another hour and a half or so with William Powell and Myrna Loy just bantering each other and all that, it's great. And that's not the only films they've done together. They've done, I don't know, about 3 or 4 others other than the film Thin Man series. So
Yes.
Hmm.
And we're still winners at those too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I have.
What's cool about those is, I mean, how many novels were there? Was there more than
One.
just the one? Right, and so
No,
they kept basically, I mean, they kept writing new stories for them. For what was it? 7 films they did? Something like
6,
that?
I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere in
I
there.
want to say 5.
Let me see.
Can I get a
I was
4?
thinking,
And what book was it from?
The book was called The Thin Man. It's written by Dashiell
The
Hammett
Thin Man.
back in the 20s,
Okay.
I think.
I was thinking
6. There were 6 films.
Richard Bachman. But that was
No,
thinner,
it's a
I believe.
Yeah, that was thinner. No, this
Yeah.
is much, much before. Hammett was one of the early mystery writers in the 20th century. And was very influential
Oh.
because he also wrote stuff like The Maltese Falcon.
And Continental Op.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I don't think I've seen any of those.
Oh, The Maltese Falcon is
Ooh.
pretty much a masterpiece
Yes.
The one to start at,
of a
huh?
movie. It's a good one. The Thin Man, the first Thin Man movie is also pretty close to a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And they decline slightly in quality, but not much all the way through.
And where'd you watch that, Les?
That was on Turner. Turner Classics had it.
Very cool.
Which is sad because you can't download it or anything. You can't watch it.
It's not streaming.
No.
It's not streaming on
A
theirs.
little surprised they don't have a streaming service yet. Or at
I
least a
thought.
deal with Disney or something. Jeez.
Mm.
More's the pity.
Yeah, you can only watch live.
Well, I was gonna be cool and say, hey, these films are actually available on the Internet Archive, but they are not anymore.
Uh-oh.
Items may be taken down for various reasons, including by decision of the uploader or due to violation of our terms of use. So they are not on the Internet Archive anymore.
Wow.
Bummer.
And whoever did this had all 6 films. Because I had them bookmarked. That sucks.
It does.
Although on TCM they have all of the Miss Marple stuff right now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, they showed that just before the Thin Man movie. They showed the horse racing.
Mystery at the Gallop.
Yeah.
The second one. Woo.
Woohoo.
And they also have East of Eden.
Ooh. James Dean.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one in forever. So yeah, if you get Turner Movie Classics with your cable service, they do have a streaming site. I don't see Thin Man though. It's probably the more current. Well, I don't know. It should be pretty current, but it's usually the current films that they have going on the channel.
Or at least a selection of them.
Yeah. I don't know if it's commercial free or anything though.
You can buy or rent it on YouTube if you want to do something like that, but I don't think anybody wants to do that.
I don't know. I'd like to see it.
From time to time.
Yeah. It looks like that's your only options, or catch it on TV.
Cool. It is available.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Well, for me, I've been kind of concentrating on podcast stuff. We've got the rest of the year to make. I got to make sure got set up and all that, and that kind of stuff. I've kind of gotten back into watching Bar Rescue. I had actually taken, I don't know, a couple of years off on watching that. I kind of got back into seeing that, and it's really kind of interesting watching the ones that were filmed during the lockdown, and because that definitely changed how they handle things, and the fact that some bars they went ahead and stayed open. And now of course, obviously the last year or so, it's him going around trying to help. The bars are dealing with everybody trying to get back, and issues with the supplies and staffing and all that kind of stuff. So it's been kind of interesting, kind of going back and seeing some of that.
So they're still making new ones. That's cool.
They're still making new ones. Yeah.
Nice. Good for them.
Yeah. So actually, and I told you guys this, that there was one from a couple of years ago that was actually kind of local. And it was funny because I made a comment about that. It's like, I don't think they were he'd been in Texas before. And since then, there's been like, they've been in San Marcos, they've been in Louisville, they've done several in Texas.
Cool.
So I did not realize it, because I mean, it's, they go to Florida a lot, and obviously California and Vegas. because he's based out of Vegas, and in up north, Wisconsin, and that kind of thing. So he's been around, and even I think the one I just saw today was like in Portland. So he's been everywhere. But it's the thing. The thing that I kind of dig about it is the analysis of the area, and apparently there's this company Esri, ESRI. I think that's where he gets all of his information. They'll just go, okay, well, the here's the average salary for this area. Here's the median age, and between that and what's available in terms of competition and where it's located, like if it's located closer to like a base, a naval base or Air Force base or something like that, he'll take that into effect and go maybe skew the theme and the concept of the bar toward that, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see that kind of thing. That's what I get more out of it than anything else. Than
you get into the statistical side of it.
Well, it's just I mean, because the whole thing is him trying to figure out how to get these people out of these deficits they're in. I mean, some were in the hole by $1 billion.
Yowie.
Or some would be losing like $10,000 a month.
Yikes.
And he's trying to figure out, okay, how will you make that back?
Right. How do you fix that? Yeah, I know. I was teasing about the statistical thing. You're actually looking at the strategic part of it.
Yeah. That's what I kind of dig. Just try to figure out how, because I mean, honestly, that's what you got to do as a business owner or a retail, whether it's a bar or whatever, you got to figure out, because you can't just open something up and say, hey, come here because I'm here. It usually doesn't work that way.
Right.
You gotta be smart about it.
Yep.
And the thing if I ever had a chance to talk to him, to John Taffer, I would love to ask the question, because I know he always wants to just help them out and all that. But the thing is, the first question I'd love to ask him is, like, almost every single story, it is a person who, after several years or decades in this one field, career field, and all of a sudden they said, you know what, fuck it, I want to open a bar. So they'll pull out their life savings, open a bar with no knowledge on how to operate it or experience or anything. And it's like, why are they doing that? They just think it's good.
Too many Cheers reruns.
I don't know, because it's just like,
it's kind of a romanticized thing, especially in this country.
Yeah.
The local bar. I mean, back into the Old West, the local saloon was the place where everybody was.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back even farther, but there's a mystique to it, I think.
And just the same thing of with every story is, they do real well for a while. That's got to be due to the newness. Hey, it's something new, it's something different, so everybody's going to check it out, and then they realize what's going on, or whatever, and then all of a sudden they go somewhere else because there's something else that's new and different. There's always been a little bit of success in each story, and then all of a sudden everything just goes downhill.
Right. They're not adapting somehow.
Yeah.
They're not seeing what it is they need to change to keep it fresh, keep it moving.
Yeah. So, I would definitely love to sit and talk to him about some of this stuff. Just to understand, because he's been doing this for, it's got to be closer to 40 years now. I mean, this is all he does.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like the easiest way to get to talk to him is to scrounge up your life savings and open a bar.
Do really bad at it.
Be really, yeah, suck royally at it, but somehow get on his radar. Do whatever it is to do something interesting to make him interested.
I would have to reach out to him. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of a drama to it too. there is a little bit of that in there as well.
Well, sure, that's what sells.
Yeah, but that's what sells it for TV.
Right.
Obviously, he was doing that before the whole reality TV.
Just basically as a consultant, sure.
Yeah.
Until he figured out a way to make TV money at it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Ghost Hunters. Well, think about it. They get backed by some station, and they travel all over.
I found them. I think they're on, was it Travel Channel now? I don't know how long they've been there, because I remember watching them when they were on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
And oh my God, so much has changed. And I knew Grant had left, and I hadn't watched them in a while. It was about the time that Grant left that I kind of stopped watching, because I got tired of some of it. Yeah, I mean, it's great promotions for whatever place they're going to visit. So I mean, it's good PR for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that really tears me, and it's even worse now. It seems like they're really playing up some of the sounds that they hear and that kind of stuff. It didn't used to be that way. I don't want to say sellout, but it could be. Well, I mean, one of the things early on in the series, Jason said he would never say a place was haunted. He would say there may be something supernatural here, but he would never say it was haunted.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's fucking haunted now. I'm like, well, okay, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, they gave up on being picky about their wording.
Yeah.
And because people are signing up to be on, or the people running these places are signing up to be on this show because they want to be able to sell the haunted idea.
Yeah.
So if you're signing them up, if you're signing up for this show, you don't want them to tell people that you're not haunted. You just have some supernatural thing. That doesn't sell.
Yeah. So it's disappointing. I mean, I get that, because once again, it's PR.
Mm-hmm.
But it's bullshit. You're not being honest. So.
Well, and there are people who would say that the whole concept is bullshit too.
True.
But I mean, theoretically everything's bullshit and it's all made up. So whatever.
Yeah, reality TV in quotation marks. So.
I meant reality. Period. The entire world. It's all a figment of our imaginations.
The episode they had for one of their Halloween specials,
mm-hmm.
and they were showing Grant walking along, and they had a camera set up, and as he walks, you watch and something tugs at his
I remember that.
the hood of his jacket.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whoa. And that definitely was not faked.
I remember that. Yeah, that was one of the live. Where were they? Was that the Stanley Hotel?
No, I think it was like at a former base, former military base.
Yeah. I remember that because it was a live Halloween special, and they wanted you to, they had all these cameras set up, and you can go online and watch, and if you see something, you can alert them to that, and they'll go investigate and all that. I was in on it for a while, and I was just like, I'm ready to go to bed. Bye, guys.
Yeah, good luck to you, man.
Yeah. I'll just tell you good luck. We're all counting on you.
Mm-hmm. And don't call me.
All right. There you go. All right, let's get into this week's discussion. I've been waiting for this one because I think this one's going to be kind of interesting and fun discussion. Not that they aren't all, but this one in particular. This year marks the 85th anniversary of publication of Action Comics #1, first appearance of Superman. So, in celebration for that, one of the websites that I follow pretty closely, called 13th Dimension. If you've not checked this out and you are a fan of Silver Age and Bronze Age comics, definitely check it out. They did a post in conjunction. I don't know if in conjunction, but with assistance from Anthony, I'm going to butcher the last name, Desiato, who is the host of Digging for Kryptonite podcast. They devised up 13 questions to and asked them in order to build your own perfect Superman. Now, yours. We're not saying this is how the character should be. It's more what we would want to see, that type of thing. I saw this and thought this was a really cool idea. I presented it to the guys, and they said, "Okay, yeah, let's do that." So, with all of that said, let's go ahead and start doing these 13 questions. We ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Okay.
I had to do it one more time.
Of course.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Question number 1. Born on Krypton or on Earth? Now, in most origins, he had been born on Krypton. The only time it's really been different was when John Byrne did it in the Man of Steel miniseries in 85, 86. So, would you prefer to see Superman's birth certificate say Krypton or Earth?
I kept him on Krypton.
Me too. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, part of his powers are explained is because he is an alien. So.
Yep.
Les?
I'm going to agree. I think just keep him where he started as far as the origin goes, and not, sorry, Mr. Byrne, but no, can't see it doing it your way.
Right. I agree. I think having him as a baby on Krypton, being put into the rocket and sent to Earth. I think, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, Krypton's destruction, natural event or villainous plot? And most origins show it as an event. The animated series kind of inferred that Brainiac had something to do with it, and I don't know if anyone else has done that. So, what's your thoughts on this?
Mine's kind of both. It was something that they did not knowing what they were doing, if that makes sense. That they inadvertently caused the destruction of their own planet.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't sound very villainous. Gosh.
Yeah, but see, it's a story I'm playing out here.
No, that's fine. No worries. That's perfectly reasonable.
Yep.
I would probably choose villainous plot just because I don't want to say I think it's more interesting, but I think it might make for a better story. Should you choose to tell it? How you end up setting up the good guys and the bad guys, and obviously the Krypton is destroyed, so the bad guys win. But there's nothing wrong with that in some cases. I mean, at least you know
Right.
that Superman survives, and so that's sort of a win. It's a very Pyrrhic victory, but if I were writing it, that's the direction I would go with it. I would find a bad guy.
Okay. Wes?
I look at this and I can see both directions, but to have Brainiac as the villain, I can't quite cut it, or I can't take it.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be Brainiac. It could be some other character, like a new character or something like that. But I mean, just that was the example that was used in the animated series. So that's why it was
Sure.
just brought up.
Because I look back at Brainiac and I still see him as the green guy and not as a criminal mastermind or something like that. Who would you say did it? But I know you're saying, well, you can introduce somebody, but of the group right now, who could you say did it? I don't have a specific person. I'm going to go man-made, not natural, but man-made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I had a tough time with this one. I eventually went with the natural causes, but I could definitely see the whole the whole thing was caused by action done by Kryptonians. You know, just like with us here on with boy, I'm having a hard time right now. Global warming. You know,
Yeah.
I know there's some people who don't believe in that. I think our actions have done something, because anything we do, there's an effect. I mean, to think that there isn't is stupid, because anything you say, there's going to be a reaction to that. Anything you do, there's going to be a reaction to that. So to think that we have not had an effect on what's going on with this planet's ecosystem or the weather and all that, so I can definitely go along those lines too. So, all right. Question number 3. The rocket landing in Smallville, was that an accident or was it preordained? Did Jor-El pick Smallville for the rocket to land?
This one, I don't know. I've always kind of had a problem with sticking a baby on a rocket. But I think that if I was left in desperation, where I knew that something like that could happen to my child, I can see why it was done. But I would also want to lean into that good faith of knowing they knew where he was going. That's why they felt safe and comfortable putting him in a rocket. So I'm going to say that not just Jor-El, but his mother, too, hand-selected Smallville.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm some sort of monster because
We do that.
All right, you kick puppies.
Wow.
Oh, and again, we get a title so easily. I think the idea that, okay, one, Earth is a small target to launch a rocket from Krypton. To pinpoint it any more than that would be really wild, in my opinion. Not completely impossible, right? Not completely impossible, but for the sake of my story, I think it says more about human nature. Well, one, it very much gives the feel of we're sending our child anywhere but here, because
Right.
anywhere but here is better. And then on top of that, it gives us the opportunity to explore the inherent goodness in human nature by randomly dumping our kid on somebody's doorstep and having them be good enough people to raise Superman.
Alien baby.
Right.
Yep.
This completely alien baby that don't have any idea where it came from or who it is, but it looks vaguely human, and we're going to raise him to be the best person he can be. I don't know. The parent in me thinks that's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to have a lot of faith in humanity, though.
Yes, you would. And this sounds strange coming from me, I know, but yeah, I think it makes for an interesting. I think it makes for a better story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this is all opinion, so it's cool.
Right. Yep.
Les?
I want to ask, by what process was it determined that Kal-El will be taken by humans to begin with? Did they not do a series of how Jor-El came to the planet and decided that's where he was going to send his son? Or am I dreaming that?
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't remember that, but that doesn't mean that it does not exist.
I thought it was like he visited Earth before Martha and can't even remember his name.
Jonathan.
Thank you. Before Martha and Jonathan were born, and was able to determine that this was the place where he was going to send Kal-El.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to say that didn't Smallville kind of touch in on that? Because like once Clark decided, was coming in with his powers and stuff, and he showed him the spaceship and the octagon piece that he had for it. And I thought he had told him that had been explained to him by Jor-El and what it did, and that's how he knew that his kid was going to be picking up cars and stuff. I'm not for sure. I'm wanting to say that was Smallville that did that.
That would make sense. Hopefully one of our listeners will be able to either prove me or refute me.
Right.
Yeah.
Join up on the Discord and come tell us what were whether right or wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, we did it again.
I think in Smallville, the spaceship was his form of the Fortress of Solitude. That's where he started to understand, and I think Fortress came later, but I think in Smallville that was where the knowledge kind of, okay, for him came from.
Okay.
It's been a while though.
A bit.
Yeah.
2 or 5 years.
Right. Jensen left there and went on to Supernatural, so at least 15.
Christ.
What the frill?
Damn. Okay.
I look at it as, he determined Earth. However, he did that through that would be the best place for him. Now, Smallville, that was just luck. That's kind of the way I would do it. But I mean, I'm not totally set on that because, hey, you know what? He could have sent him to Mars and grow up with the Martians.
Yeah.
And know John a lot earlier than he did in Smallville.
So, I mean, I'm not totally set on that, but yeah, I mean, send them Earth, and it just happened to be in the middle of Kansas. Because I mean, they've gone different direction with that. I mean, the most obvious one was Red Sun, where he landed in Russia.
Yeah.
So, all right. Next question, number 4. Super Baby. Do we have him in his costume flying around and doing stuff or not?
I said no. Just because the sun and, slowing down, and I said no. I think that was something he would have to come into.
I agree. Mainly because it just gets difficult to write the story where he's been flying around being Superman since he was 6 or whatever.
Right.
You can't just have him be this all-powerful creature as an infant.
Right.
So what age you start
Laser Baby would be pretty cool, but yeah.
Laser Baby is also very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous.
And you want the kid to be able to have developed emotionally enough to have learned a certain degree of self-control.
Right.
I mean, I'm already thinking they're gonna, even if they get him as like a 3-month-old baby or whatever, they're gonna have to homeschool this kid until he's like 10, because if he's just strong enough that he could literally shove another kid through the side of the building because he didn't get his way, he didn't get the right fish stick or whatever for lunch. You can't have that. That's a bad thing. And so
Yeah.
this kid his social development is going to be a little different because you're not going to send him to kindergarten. You're going to hold on to him until he starts middle school. That's at least the way I look at it. I think it's too dangerous to have a baby flying around with laser beams coming out of his eyes. Get into weird psychological shit there.
More of a rite of passage kind of deal.
Or at least the Kents dealing with him away from other people, at least.
Right.
Whether it's like a mutant, boom, he all of a sudden he didn't have powers yesterday, but he has powers today. I probably wouldn't go that route, but there has to be more the Jedi learning control route, I think, and that's a weird story to tell, but.
Okay, Les?
How do I follow that up? Personally, I don't have a problem with it. To me, you already say that he's going to be homeschooled. Probably so people aren't going to really know of him to begin with until he's a high schooler or later. It's just something bright that his Earth Mother decided for him. So personally, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. I kind of go along with Mike. Super Baby works well in the Silver Age, but now I could see him slowly developing his powers and with Jonathan and Martha trying to deal with that and try to train him as best as they can and try to keep everything kind of a secret for as long as they can. And where he can be able he can be able to control those abilities, and so he can be able to interact with the rest of the population. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's step back though and look at his adventures on Krypton. There were several stories where baby Kal-El was seen around on Krypton. How he had powers, I don't recall. But he fought things like the Mind Beast, which I thought was one of the coolest ideas around. And he was suited. So it was not a point that he was in secret. It's just that he existed at that time. I know it was like an imaginary tale. Had to be.
I kind of I can vaguely picture what the story you're talking about, but you brought it up. How could he have powers on Krypton? Krypton's under a red sun. That would cause him not to have powers.
Yeah.
So, because no one else did.
No, that's true.
So, I'm not trying to discount what you're saying. I just
No, so, and I don't see it as that.
I don't know. I mean, having a 3-year-old in a suit being able to do the things that the adult does, it just seems a little much. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, at that time too, they wanted stories that would appeal to all ages.
Yeah.
There was no dark Superman or dark Batman or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they were just catering to the youngsters.
It was a different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, they're just telling a fun story.
Yeah. They're just trying to entertain.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 5. This may be a really interesting one.
Let me be a judge of that. Go ahead, though.
Is he the last? Is he the last son of Krypton, or is there a ton of Kryptonians that survive destruction?
I said that he's the only survivor. I've always had a problem with Supergirl's story. I don't get it. I know it had to be thought of after, and they had to somehow find something to make it work, and everything else. But I kind of like it that he's the only one, especially when you go back to the desperation that his parents were in. Little baby, you're about to give up, but we've got another rocket on this side of the planet, and I always had a hard time with that. So I said only, but I know it's a little rocket, but there was room for a puppy.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, of course.
I knew this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So he did come with Crypto. And that's how his parents knew that he would be looked after until he got to where he was going. In my head.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an alien dog. He lives forever.
Wow. Also not surprising, but anyway.
Of course.
Also not surprisingly, I have the same answer, but for different reasons. I would not. I would set up the story as he's the sole survivor. I would not rule out the possibility that someone else had the same idea. I would think it would be extraordinarily unlikely because not very many other people on Krypton would have the resources or the knowledge to do what Jor-El did.
Mm-hmm.
So I would at least start it out with he's the only survivor. I think we get into a lot of weird retcon type stuff later on with, I mean, I don't want to pick on Supergirl, but
Liz already started. So
I mean, the idea of kryptonite in the first place is, to an extent, a pretty weird retcon. I mean, yeah, the planet exploded apparently, and yet there's an awful lot of chunks of it floating around really close to Earth
mm-hmm.
for some reason, because it's
and some mutated into different colors. So
it's one of the weirdest plot devices in fiction in the 20th century, to be honest. But I digress on that. I think the story is more interesting if he's alone. Maybe not happier, but more interesting.
Right. Les?
I'm going to take the side that he is not the only survivor. Because yes, you have Kara, and that to me is a major, but you also have the people of Kandor. Kandor was a a city that was taken by Brainiac, and they survived the explosion. So, to me, Superman is not the only survivor. Just because.
Okay. I was kind of torn on this one, but I would be okay with him being the sole survivor, but I also don't really have a problem with Supergirl being around. But once you start having all of a sudden dozens or hundreds or others, it kind of takes it kind of lessens him, because hey, there you can have hundreds of Superman flying around. Yeah, I was going to bring up Kandor, and so I'm glad you did, Les. That's when I start really have problems, because all of a sudden now you have a city full of possible supermen and women. I just, that's where I'm going. Okay, this is a little much. But if you have a sole survivor, or at least have Kara by his side, I'm okay with that. That's kind of the problem I'm having right now with the books, because all of a sudden he's got a big family. I mean, he's got a son, and then now there's a clone, and then now there's these two other kids, which I have no clue who they are, but apparently they have powers too. And just like, it just seems like it's a little much. So
It kind of lessens what his parents did.
Well, here, if you don't mind, I will throw out a possible idea for Kara. We could easily just treat it as a branding thing. Kara is not from Krypton, but Kara has powers similar to those that Superman has.
Yeah.
And therefore,
Yeah.
I could see Superman saying, okay, I mean, obviously he would have to get to know her first, but he gets to know her well enough and says, okay, your powers are similar to mine. Why don't we kind of team up? I mean, we will probably still fly solo most of the time, but if you want to call yourself Supergirl or Superwoman or whatever, go for it.
Yeah.
We can even do a similar costume if you want.
Well, that's how we got Mon-El back in the 50s.
There you go.
Because he arrived to Earth, and Superboy found him and thought, oh, he's got to be my brother or a fellow Kryptonian. Until all of a sudden he run into lead, and that took him down. Like, okay, so you're not from Krypton. Okay, where are you from? So yeah, I mean that story works because it's been done before. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Hell, you could have Kara be in what's the planet? Daxam? Yeah, be a Daxamite.
Sure.
So, okay. Yeah, that works for me too. Okay. Question 6. When should Clark learn of his Kryptonian heritage?
I think with the baby question, I kind of answered this one. I think this is something that he grows into, and when he does grow into it, that's when it's kind of revealed to him. But it's not all, let's melt your brain with information. It's given to him a little at a time as it's needed for him. It's like, you made it this far. Here's this power. This is what happened, kind of thing. So, yeah. But as far as the planet goes, I think as soon as he figures out that he's different and he has powers, that's when everything's explained, Yes, you're adopted. Here's what happened to your planet.
Very, very adopted.
Yes.
Okay, Mikey.
I actually agree wholeheartedly. I think you can't. I think when he starts to figure out how different he is, um, you have to explain it to him. I honestly think that the deal with Jonathan and Martha Kent is that they would never hold that back from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is to me, again, that is to me what makes them interesting characters and parents is to teach a kid to be the Boy Scout that Superman turns out to be. You have to be the Boy Scout, and you
Yeah.
have to be as upfront and honest as you can be with him. You will through the course of that, you're not going to give him everything all at once, like Liz said, but um, it's going to get spread out over time, and as he becomes kind of mature enough to understand, because otherwise, yeah, you're just going to melt his poor little brain, and he's going to be like Neo from the Matrix.
Or send him off on some strange revenge mission.
Right, he's going to have no earthly idea. Pun not really intended.
Right.
What he is or how to deal with it. He's kind of got to learn that over the course of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Les?
The proper age to tell him of his origin, I think it's got to be done when he's young. Otherwise, to me, he would have a resentment for not being told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The parents not telling him would anger him more than them telling him early when he's, we'll say 6, maybe even 10. Tell him that he is, 1, he is adopted, 2, he has powers, and this is what we know of it.
Yeah.
Let him hash it out. Otherwise, to me, he would have a strong resentment and say, you never told me, I hate you, and they'd never see him again.
Well, you'd figure as these powers develop, he's got to be asking at least himself, why do I have these and no one else have them?
True.
So you figure he would be asking them too. It's like, hey, why am I different? Please help me. I want to know. So I think we're all kind of on the same page there. It's that's he would be learning what he can of his heritage through them as he's growing up and as the powers are developing. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Next question. Is he ever Superboy?
I think I'm going to go the Smallville route on this. He is, but he isn't. I would like to see him, like, figuring it out, you know? Not so much that he's leaping tall buildings in a single bound, but, you know, maybe threw that football that one time too hard and went, whoa, you know? Those kind of stories when he's kind of, how do I do this? Or I kind of go back to like the Spider-Man movies when he first figures out that he's different. I would like to see Superman like that, kind of not all put together yet, you know?
Okay.
So yes and no.
No. The question just distinctly says yes or no. I'm good. Here again, I'm going to agree, but for different reasons. I think ultimately, is there a public-facing Superboy? No.
Yeah.
Is there a teenager who is developing these superpowers and learning about his alien history and um, learning how to be, like I said, the Boy Scout, and still with the ability to do amazing things. I think he's going to do some of them, and I think there's some interesting stories in that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's no costume, and there's no name. There's no calling himself Superboy. That's ludicrous. I don't know any teenager who would do that. But I think, like I said, I think there's some really fun story potential in that person, in that teenager who's learning what he can do and what he should do.
Mm-hmm. Les?
I'm going to say yes, there should be a Superboy because of what was laid out for the character in the comics. I think is major, and it wasn't just because he was hiding. When he's hiding himself, to me it defeats the purpose. And Cal should be, like I said, should know about his heritage early on. And therefore, look at what Superboy discovered. We wouldn't have the Legion. We wouldn't have how Lex Luthor lost his hair. Things like that. I think you've got to have that character front and center. And
see, I would save my Superboy for his kid. Because you're right, there are things that he needs to do,
Okay.
But I think with Superman already being that goofy kid and figuring it out, that he would be able to help his son a little bit better. And maybe, he would come into it a little bit with the more better understanding where he could use it, unlike his dad did, who was trial and error,
Did you have anything else? Okay.
No,
go ahead.
not me.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Hey, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Because like you said, I had forgotten what he did as Superboy.
For me, no Superboy. I could see him something that's going to be something similar to what Mike was saying, is him testing his powers, doing some of these miracles, and being kind of an urban legend, that type of thing. No one really sees him, but somehow this bridge which was being destroyed has been repaired out of nowhere. Just these type of miracle type things, that type of thing, or saving the school bus full of kids, that type of thing. I could see that. That could be kind of interesting because you played around with the whole thing of him possibly being caught, and he's not in a costume. He's just. I guess this is what Smallville did to a degree. I don't know. I didn't watch Smallville. I may have to go back and watch it, but I think that's kind of an interesting thing in it, where he's to the point where, okay, I think I can do this. Now I'm Superman, and here's my suit, and I make myself known to the world.
Yeah.
And you say you will miss out on the Legion. Superboy was the inspiration, but they've also said Superman was the inspiration. So, that's not that much of a change. It's just a different age. age of Kal-El. He could still be an inspiration for the creation of the team. The whole thing with the Luthor losing his hair, we'll get into that here.
We'll get to that. Right?
We'll get to that
In
in
the
the
next
next question.
That's the next question.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and go. Did you have any kind of rebuttal to that, Les?
One other thing, you brought up Mon-El.
Mm-hmm.
Mon-El was when there was a Superboy. Superboy found Mon-El.
In the Silver Age, yeah, but remember in post-Crisis, the Mon-El came out of the whole thing with the invasion story arc, when all the planets got together to defeat the whatever, I don't remember what the name of the alien race was that was invading Earth. That's how they found out about Daxamites, and that's how the whole Valor series came out of it. So, and in one time, Mon-El was the inspiration for the Legion, because he was in present day until he could not be in he could not survive in our atmosphere because of all the lead, so he was put in the Phantom Zone and stayed there until Brainiac 5 developed a serum and pulled him out in the time of the Legion, and that's how he became a member of the Legion. So, I mean, there's different ways that they've kind of handled Mon-El over the 60-plus years that he's been around.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So, I mean, and either one of those are
Right.
completely valid.
Either way works.
Yep.
This is all about your story, your Superman.
Yeah, it's your story. Yep. Okay, and we've already kind of referenced it. Does Lex Luthor meet Superman as a teen in Smallville or as an adult in Metropolis?
I did as a teenager, and using him as that's kind of how Superman learns the evil that men do, that not everybody is always face value, and that people you can consider your friend can actually turn and break your heart, you know. So I'm going to say teen to use him in that capacity, that they were friends and he betrayed him, or in Lex's eyes, he betrayed him.
It's because of that hair.
Yep. Could be like a Joker thing where they were goofing off and something happened and Lex lost his hair, you know.
It happens
yeah.
to all of us.
Right. But I think with Lex, he learns the important lesson of you can't always trust everyone. Not everybody is Martha and Jonathan. You know?
Okay. Mikey?
Yeah, no. I'm kidding. I'm going the other direction, but I am kidding. Yeah, I put him in Metropolis as a grown up. That is, I like the lesson that you're using him for here, and he will learn that lesson. To be honest, he can learn that from any idiot in high school. Lex will eventually be the ultimate version of that story, but I don't see any reason to make Lex a teenager along with him. I'd almost put Lex as being 10 or 20 years older anyway, just for funsies.
More experience.
Whether it's Superman's fault he lost his hair or not, you could kind of go either way on that one. But I like the idea of letting Lex plot and scheme a little before Superman comes along to thwart his plans. Let him be successful first, and then have Superman essentially rip that away from him. I can't
become
think,
a threat.
I can't think of a better way to turn him into supervillain.
Les?
Uh, I'm going to say as a teenager, to me, the program, Smallville,
Mm-hmm.
did a fine job of that. Granted, Clark was not as young as he was pictured in the first Superman movie when he was a teenager. But I felt that it was majorly important at that time to have the character be of an age where that he could manage, and to me, Lex was a big portion of that. So to me, yeah, I want him as a kid.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna go along with Mike. That was kind of the way I was thinking. As an adult, one of the things I really loved about Byrne's Man of Steel miniseries was that they showed that Luthor was the most powerful man in Metropolis until Superman showed up. And that pissed him off. That's where the hatred come from. And then
Okay.
once Superman figures out, hey, he's doing a lot of illegal shit going on here. Yeah, I need to deal with that too. That just made it worse. So.
Cool.
I understand.
Alrighty. We're up to question 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Okay, Jonathan and Martha, alive or dead?
I kept them alive. I did not use his dad as a turning point for Superman.
Okay.
I think they're like what keeps him grounded in a moral compass.
And it would be helpful for him to have that for a while anyway. I actually like the idea that they're a little older when they get him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he needs to bury them as a teenager or anything. I think if
Yeah.
he's 30 before they die, that's probably good. So they're around for a while.
Yeah.
In my story.
And natural causes.
Most likely,
Or
yeah.
tornadoes or trucks falling on him, you know.
Yeah, no catastrophic accident that he's like over there saying, no, don't save me. All that bullshit. No thanks. But
Right.
yeah, no.
Or leaving them with, I could have saved my dad. I save everybody.
Right. Nah.
Can't save him from old age.
Right, but they can also help him continue to grow as Superman beyond just becoming an adult for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because power corrupts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Les?
Power corrupts.
Does. You don't know how to use it.
I'm going to look more toward Lois and Clark in this respect. I would like to have them around. To me, it is more fitting and more enjoyable as stories to actually have your parents there and in sync with what's going on. So yeah, I'm for for them to be around.
Okay.
He lets them live.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
When I sat down and started working on these questions, I originally had them dead, but I rethought that because for what y'all said, that it's a good sounding board. It's a way to keep the human part of him in focus and alive and all that, to where he's not this alien with all the powers. It also gives him something over most of the other heroes that are around. You know, Bruce would love to have his parents around. And so on. So I mean, God, how many times did Barry go into the past try to save his mom? You know, and fucking up the timeline every time he does it. So
Too soon, man.
Yeah,
Too soon.
too soon. Well, I mean, it's been done 100 times. So
No, I know.
So yeah, have him alive. You know, because I mean, that's basically how he went to Metropolis. Both of them had died, so he had nothing left in Smallville. So he went to the big city to, you know, do his thing. So yeah, I want them alive. So we're all wanting that.
That's because we're not monsters. I don't care what y'all say about me.
Okay, number 10. Who made the suit? Jor-El or Martha?
I made it Martha, just as a way of them staying involved with him. And kind of the suits, their approval of, you know, we think you can handle this and we trust you and proud of you.
And she's probably a better seamstress than he is, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if she doesn't make it, then Clark will try to make it on his own, and who the hell knows what it'll look like.
Right. 3 arms and...
Mm-hmm. 4 capes.
Yeah. Drag the floor.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree, Mom. Mom makes it Martha. It's a Martha thing. I think it helps reinforce the connection with Earth. I mean, putting him in an alien suit would just be weird, in my opinion.
Okay. Wes?
Are you saying that Laura couldn't make it?
No, I'm not
Well,
saying that. She could
well,
have.
the question actually says, was it Jor-El or was it Martha? So, I mean, yeah, we could change the question to say, was it Laura?
But I'm going to say it was Martha.
Okay.
It was, to me, it was such a great idea that she took his baby blanket and made it into his suit. To me, I thought that was
Aww.
pretty frickin' magnificent.
I want that in mine too.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's one of the weirdest things in the Silver Age that and God knows the Silver Age, there's a lot of weird things that never made sense to me, because they talk about the blankets coming from Krypton and that they're indestructible, and you'll remember this image, Wes, of one of the sheets being tied to the ground, and you see an explosion going off underneath it. Then you see Jonathan using a pitchfork trying to tear into one of the others. They're so indestructible. I'm like, how the hell did Martha put it together then? How did she cut the patterns? How did she sew it if it's so indestructible?
Because she's Martha. She has her own superpower. It was love. That was her power.
Right, the power of love.
If
Yeah,
anybody breaks it out into music, I'm going to scream.
Hey,
I
Peter Cetera said it way better than we could.
Mm,
Oh no, wait, that was
I
Huey
could
Lewis on the News, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I could see it as a cape, but I hadn't really thought about that till you said that.
now, yeah, I mean, I'll agree with y'all. I want Martha to do it. The best way is how Byrne handled it in Man of Steel. It's not indestructible material. His body generates a force field, which explains why the bullets bounce off him.
Ah,
Because they never hit him.
So they know because they
yeah.
never hit him. So that's why his suit never gets torn up, but his cape always gets destroyed.
Okay. I like that. Yeah.
That's how Byrne explained it in Man of Steel. So
That
and
would make sense. You know, 'cause
that's the way I would go. Because I like that. I thought it was a great idea.
that is. I like that.
All right. Question number 11. We're almost done. What does the S stand for?
Superman. Because he's her super, super little boy. I mean, Superman, yeah. How does an S tie back to Jor-El? I mean, I know they've explained that, but I just,
Like a family crest.
yeah. See, yeah, I like it as Superman. Once again, kind of the family thing, you know.
Yeah, see,
Decided.
this is where I go with the family crest. Because while I think it makes more sense for Martha to be the one to make the suit, she's doing it in collaboration with Cal and she's doing she's making it in the way that he wants, and the idea that his Kryptonian family crest is on the front. I think she would appreciate that, and I think that it would make more sense.
To honor him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that too.
Okay, Les?
This sounds corny, but I'm going to go with hope.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. That was actually my second choice.
I went with the family crest as well. I thought that was a neat idea to go that way. And like you said, it's to honor his heritage and where he came from. There's nothing wrong with hope. I kind of like that idea too. But that's kind of the direction I was going.
I could see it as an honor thing because his parents did make a huge sacrifice for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that too.
Okay. Question number 12. Clark Kent as a journalist. Is it a calling or a convenience?
I'm going to say it's a calling for two reasons. For one, just the parents he had, it would be a work ethic kind of thing, you know. But two, being a superhero, it kind of is like a police scanner. You know, you're going to get the tips, you're going to know what's happening, you're going to know kind of a who's who kind of thing. So,
yeah. Okay. Mikey?
I went the other way, but for kind of the same reason, if that makes any sense. I think the idea. I think in today's day and age, we've maybe lost the idea of the journalist who is interested in pursuing the truth. But I think when this was created, that was very much, if not a real thing, then it was close enough to the real thing to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, for my story, he's doing it. Well, one, because of the whole truth thing. To an extent, I think what he's doing is he's latched on to an outdated idea of what journalism is, which is fine. But for the most part, he's doing it because it puts him close to the information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think even more so. Well, one, he's probably using it. If this is a modern story, he's using the internet in ways that we never could, to ferret out the truth and to locate things and all of that. But it puts him close, and it puts him in a situation where there's people that he's dealing with constantly, and they're all feeding each other information all the time, and so it's this great little network of information, of knowledge to sift through and find what he needs to find quickly.
Yeah. And then when the mission's over, to print the truth of what happened.
Right, but mainly as an afterthought.
Yeah.
Les?
I find it is his calling because of what he had witnessed at a younger age. I thought it was his calling to step up and be who he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be a hero. And that to me was the major thing for him.
Okay. I kind of saw it as both. Definitely a calling, but also as a convenience. And something I would do is bring back an old idea and update it, because during the early 70s, early to mid 70s, somewhere around there, there was the whole thing of the Daily Planet being bought out by, I think it was WGBS, the broadcasting company. And they made Clark the news anchor. And I having him as a cable news anchor, which makes him eligible to go across the planet for news items. That's also a way for him to be able to be there as Superman as well, to take care of whatever's going on. And it would be it would be totally appropriate. Well, I mean, Clark's there because he's he's like I don't know who you want to name, like Anderson Cooper as a contemporary, something like that. He's sent everywhere.
Yeah.
For events, he would be doing the same thing, except for he'll also take a couple of seconds and deal with it as Superman and come back and finish up the story. There's also the whole thing with the truth, which was a great idea. I like that too. Which is the character. So.
Mm-hmm.
So
I could see that, like an investigative reporter, where he could disappear for a few days, and they wouldn't think anything. But I like that too, modern.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't read any of the current books, so I don't know what Clark's occupation is now. I mean, is he still a newspaper reporter in the day and age where newspapers are not really read as much? Unless that's all on a line. I mean, it could be that way. I don't know. I don't know how they handle it now.
I don't really recall either. It's almost like he doesn't have a job.
Right, they might not be handling it at all.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's more. Yeah, they don't have to worry about that way.
Right.
Okay, it makes sense.
What isn't Jack Ryder somebody of that ilk too? The Creeper.
Yeah.
That's where I have the problem.
They have it. I've seen them that way. I've also seen them like a Morton Downey Jr. too, or Alex Jones, that type of thing. One of those talking heads. So it depends on who's ever handling the character at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Final question. Okay, when does Lois learn Superman's identity, if at all?
I kind of like the old Superman TV show where she doesn't know. I don't think you can put on a pair of glasses and fool I know they've explained it and, I just don't see that happening. I think she's smart and would figure that out, but I don't think it's kind of one of those things, part of her knows, but she doesn't want to know. So she doesn't fully accept that, but I would never make it official that she knew. You can do all this stuff and save all these people, but he couldn't hide from Lois. But yeah, I would keep it a secret.
Okay.
No, not me. My answer is kind of going to vary on this one. I think it depends on how far you take the romantic relationship. And I think if you keep this story around long enough, the romantic relationship happens. But again, we go back to the truth, and there's no way he's going to lie to her actively. I don't think he would even do so passively. What he would do is get close enough to her to get to know her, to figure out that he can trust her. And because she is smart, she is going to kind of figure it out on her own. I think he tells, in my story, he would tell her, and she would be like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah. I'm glad you finally told me,
Right.
but
Right. And he would be like,
those
"When did you
glasses were
figure
not
it out?"
fooling no one.
And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, it wasn't that long ago." But yeah, it's pretty obvious.
I went to put these pictures in Facebook.
Oh, right. That's the deal with,
It tagged you.
That's a whole different ball of wax. But yeah, I don't think I want Facebook in my world with Superman.
Right.
Something I look at, I know everybody says he has a curl on his forehead, he wears glasses, all that crap. To me, no one really sees Superman. He has the ability to appear to people in various forms because he vibrates at such a speed, people see him differently. Therefore, Clark can be Clark. Superman is everyman in the respect that no one knows what he actually looks like.
They kind of see him how they think they see him.
Yes.
See, and you could feed that into that whole aura concept too.
Yeah.
He turns on that aura and it blurs him just enough that nobody gets a really close look at him.
Yeah.
And then you get the eyewitness effect where everybody describes him a little differently. Makes sense.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went with her figuring it out. I really don't have an idea exactly how far into the relationship, but I think it would be something. I think it would be something interesting because it's not something we've seen before. Because if you go back over the history of the character, in the Silver Age, she's always trying to prove that Clark's Superman.
Yeah.
And he comes up with some lame, stupid explanation to explain it, and she goes, okay. And I'm still going to try to prove it. And they never explain how she came up with that idea. What did he do to suggest that they were the same person? Then you get into the more current stories. She's a very strong, smart, independent woman, but she never figured it out. It wasn't until he reveals himself to her. Oh my God, I never would have figured that out. And it would be nice to have somewhat of a combination of that. I kind of go back to Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson. Now, Mary Jane Watson was introduced very early into the series and all of that. And you have all these, where's Peter? What happened to him? All that kind of stuff. And then at one point, she said, I know you're Spider-Man. I know you're Spider-Man. I saw you. I saw this happen one time. And explained it. And it's like, and that's basically how the relationship changed to where they would get married and that kind of thing, because, I mean, they were already in love with each other and that kind of stuff. But that was something that Peter didn't have to deal, didn't have to reveal, because she said, I know. It would be cool that Lois went through something like that she figured it out on her own. And I do like the idea of whether or not she wants to let him know. Until probably keep it to where she doesn't say anything until he reveals himself to her and go, well, I've known since this time. I just didn't want to say anything. I wanted you to do that. I didn't think it was my place to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, those were great. Those were 13 great questions. And we'll have that link in the show notes for y'all to check out. Anything else we want to kind of bring up before we take a break?
Yeah.
How about? Oh, go ahead.
No, you got something. Go for it.
Go ahead,
I
Les.
was going to say introduction of some other people, like Pete Ross, who was the first to know of Superman. Lana Lang. I was just kind of curious about those.
Curious as in, like, when are they actually introduced into his life?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, essentially.
What role do they
Okay.
play in this new story, sort of thing? I mean, I don't see any reason not to add them, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to keep some of the familiar and probably keep it as close as we can to what it's been to an extent, where we can.
Yeah. I mean, they could be part of his Smallville life and then move to Metropolis along with Clark, if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
Well, and Pete knowing whether or not he's Superboy, I guess that's really going to depend on whether you have Superboy in your story.
Okay.
In your story, I know he's gonna know because you have Superboy in your story.
True.
Where I had more of a kind of an urban legend, strange events type of thing, because he's doing everything undercover.
More of a Batman character.
Yeah, like my example I used of him repairing a bridge. A bridge is being demolished, and all of a sudden it's back to the way it was. How did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That type of thing.
another way you could handle the Pete Ross thing is he was there in Smallville and saw some of those miracles along the way, and then say Clark leaves a few months before Pete does, the miracles stop, and then Pete follows to Metropolis according to whatever plan he has, and notices that some of those miracles are happening in Metropolis. Maybe it doesn't take him long to figure out and confront Clark and say, "Dude, really?"
Well,
Yeah.
well, and the miracles happen in Metropolis are a little bit more public because
Because
he's
it's
Superman.
Metropolis, and yeah, now he's got a costume and he's actually showing up, right?
That's I like that. I like that too.
You know.
So we would love to hear your answers to these questions. Just send them to us through, if you want to join our Discord, you can do that and post your answers, or just contact us through email or social media. We would love to hear what y'all think.
Yep, we talk about all that stuff at the very end.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with Geek News for You. And we're back, and it's time for Geek News for You. And at this segment, we bring a couple of news items or articles to the table for discussion. This week, it is Liz and myself. And Liz, would you like to go first?
Sure. This one is about the Comic-Con in San Diego. Of course, everyone knows right now the writers are on strike, and it has left a lot of big names scrambling for people to fill tables. And after they couldn't, they were like, you know what? We're just not going to do this. So far, they've had Marvel drop out, Netflix, Sony, HBO, and Universal. They've all decided to skip this year. Haven't heard anything from Amazon, but Amazon has quite a few things coming out this fall, and I would see them wanting to push it, because one of them is the new spinoff from The Boys, the Gen Z or Gen V or Z, or I think it's Gen V. So I'll be surprised if they skip it, seeing how much money they have wrapped up in the two shows they have coming this fall. But so far they haven't said what presents, if any, that they'll have there either.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. I mean, you have all these people who are dropping out. Who's left? You know?
It seems bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems kind of, empty. I guess Netflix will still be there. I'm not sure. DC, I don't know if we've heard anything from them, if they'll have a presence but no tables kind of thing, You can look at our stuff, but we're not going to talk to you.
Wow.
Yeah. I think a lot of these bigger people don't want to have to answer with a strike going on right now. I think they feel like some of their focus would be elsewhere, and they're trying to avoid that. I don't know how good that is, but I feel like that's what's happening.
Well, in a lot of cases, they don't have anything to present because everything's shut down.
Right, they're not doing anything new right now.
Yeah. I could see this as being stuff that's done, like Amazon stuff. It's done. There's no more writing to do. There's no more acting to do. It's just waiting for its premiere date.
It's in the can, as it were.
Yep. Yeah, but
yep.
So.
Yep.
Anybody see Mark Millar's response to all this?
Mm-mm.
He's talking about it be nice that that convention can actually focus on comic books again.
Somebody was bound to say it.
Yeah.
I
The
thought it.
question is, will they?
Right. I mean, I think the big question is, will enough people show up to make it worth their while?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, after shelling out that kind of money on tickets and probably already got their reservations for hotels and all that, are they really wanting to just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to go because I'm not going to be able to see, Marvel Studios stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of money just to say fuck it.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, and right now it's not just the writers. Some of the actors are talking about, joining the strike and going on strike too.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them have. They've stopped. They've dropped out of commitments to in kind of in solidarity. Plus the fact that there's possibly going to be a actor strike.
Yeah.
They've authorized that they could do that. So
Yeah. So who are you going to have left? And I know it's supposed to be about comics and stuff, but a lot of extra people come to see stars and who's writing their favorite TV show, and so yeah, I think it'll definitely be a different kind of atmosphere for sure.
Well, I mean that's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of the comic book conventions. They focus so much on the celebrities and all that, and I get that because that's what's going to get some.
Right.
That's where it's going to get the people.
Well,
But
and you can't blame them because
then don't have a comic book convention. Have it as a celebrities convention or a wrestling convention where you can have all the celebrity wrestlers or whatever. That fine. Do it that way.
Yeah.
Or have a cosplay convention, and then this is probably going to get me in trouble. But when there's so much more focus on cosplayers than the people who created the characters that they're cosplaying, that's a problem. That's an issue.
Yeah.
Or at least it is in me, in my thinking.
It should be, yeah.
It's a different kind of issue, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with Laura that they're finally going back to the basis of a comic book convention, and that's the way it should be.
So
we shall see.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because all that's coming up here next couple of weeks.
Yeah, July 19th.
Stay tuned.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
My item is not a news item, but it is kind of a it's listed itself as a retrospective, which it does. It is, and it's talking about how, and it's kind of funny because we were just talking about actors and all that. The story is about how Hollywood is more safer, and it's all really due to one film, which actually celebrates its 40th anniversary. It actually did on the 25th of June. That movie is Twilight Zone, the movie.
Nice.
And if you're not familiar with the story, Twilight Zone, it was four different stories in the film. The first one is the one we're going to be focusing on. It's the story about a man who is a racist who gets shifted in time between World War II occupied France, being pursued by Nazi soldiers because he's Jew, And then the next moment, he is in 50s South being pursued by the Ku Klux Klan because he's black. And then all of a sudden, he's in Vietnam. He's Vietnamese. He's being pursued by American soldiers. The late, great Vic Morrow was the star of this particular story. And what had happened was there was a sequence where Morrow was portraying the character as a Vietnamese man, and he's crossing the river with 2 children. This was being filmed around midnight. So, according to California law and all that, these children should not have been on set because it was past time. They got a set time, set hours of where child actors can work. Well, they shouldn't even been there anyway because they were illegally hired. Apparently, it was an under the table transaction that brought them on here. So they're crossing the river and they're being pursued by a helicopter. And the director, John Landis, was directing the helicopter to be lower as it's pursuing our heroes. And what had happened was some of the explosions that was going off affected, I forgot the terminology that they said, affected the helicopter and had it turned down, decapitated Vic Morrow, decapitated one of the kids, and the other kid was crushed by the helicopter.
Shit.
So of course they talk about all the legal issues and all that because
there were a ton.
there were a ton. Now they were all acquitted, but there was a lot of civil suits too. But it was because of this that they became more strict regarding on-set safety. Of course, this is being brought up now, obviously because of the anniversary of the film, but we had the whole incident with on the film Rust about a year or so ago where
Alec Baldwin
is shooting, I think was the director of photography.
Yeah,
it's like, so it's things are safer, but God, there's still stuff got to be.
There's still room for error.
Still room for how the hell did a live bullet get there? But that's not the first time. We lost Brandon Lee the same damn way.
Yep.
With The Crow.
Yeah.
But it's a kind of interesting, very interesting read, and I had forgotten about it. I remember. I don't remember when it broke, but I remember hearing it over the years, and it's affected the movie because that's all people think about. They don't think about it actually being a really good movie with some really good stories. They think about the accident. So, but it's a really good read. We'll obviously have it in our show notes. Sorry to bring everybody down, but I was like, I had forgotten, and it seemed
I didn't
timely.
know that. That's
wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Heavy stuff.
That is.
Well, we had the loss of the submersible just a short while ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But does anyone remember the name of the atomic sub that disappeared back in the late or mid-60s, I guess it was. And it sunk. They didn't know where it went. They don't know how to retrieve it. I was just curious because it's been bothering me for days now, trying to figure out the name of this thing. I want to say something like Trident or something like that.
It's not ringing a bell right now.
The USS Scorpion?
No. I know that wasn't it. But I too want to say I'm sorry I brought everybody down again. But
Well, I kind of did that, so don't worry about it.
Well, here's what they're saying is the USS Greyback. And it said it was a 75-year-old mystery solved because they found it off Okinawa. They realized they had mistranslated the Japanese war record, which pointed them in the wrong direction when they were looking.
There was also USS Thresher, which sank in
that
1963.
That sounds closer. Thank you. Where was that lost?
A couple hundred miles off of Cape Cod.
That's what I was thinking. The Thresher. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this one was out of Pearl Harbor.
All right. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Nope.
Not me.
Nothing here.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go to our regular shout-outs. Want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who are so kind enough as to spread the word of fellowship by retweeting our links on Twitter. That is Pottern Family. Best way to check them out is to do a search, hashtag Pottern Family. That's all one word. And just scroll through whatever catches your attention. By all means, click on that link and download that episode. And we hope you have a great time checking them out. We also want to thank Maddie the Martyr for supplying music to the podcast. In our show notes, there will be a link to where you can check out their music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any comments, questions, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. Our email is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form that you can fill out. If you go to the front page, there is a invitation for you to join our Discord. And on our Discord, we have a section specifically set up for feedback, so you can post your thoughts there. On social media, we're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. On Twitter, Instagram, and Hive Social, we're at Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you'd be so kind as to rate and review our show, it'll be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
There is one more thing. No new episode next week. This is our scheduled week off. So we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. We all forgot about that. That's okay.
Yep.
So until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,